Yeah, exactly. What's up, my people? What's up, people? This is your boy Antonio Ocasio, Tribal Wins. Welcome to RAICES. We're finally back. I know we took a break. We're back. Welcome to Roots, RAICES Vibecast.
What's up? This is Doug Gomez from Bay Recordings. And today, after this long break, we have a very special guest, someone who we respect, someone who's been in this business for as long as I can remember.
As
You know,
long as
as
you
long,
have.
yeah, he's worn many hats and still wears them, from
Mhm,
executive producer, DJ, A&R, and
mhm.
he's even worn that production hat for a long time ago.
A little bit.
Yeah, so we have none other than Hector Romero. Let's make some noise for the man.
Hector.
Thank you, thank you. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to be here with you guys. Really, a complete honor to be amongst my peers that I respect so much.
thank you,
Thank,
brother.
thank you for
Always and forever, man. So,
Thank you so much for
and
being here.
I'm so glad that you're making this initiative to push the roots of what we do for Latinos in music as well. It doesn't matter. I'm sure it's you have everybody, of course, but I think because of the title of the show, Raices, I think it's so perfect and
Right,
why you guys are doing this. I think it's a
right.
great thing for
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we just wanted to, let everybody hear everybody else's voices from, we always hear about the same people. Some people get left out from this house
yeah,
music
exactly.
history. And
Absolutely.
Exactly.
so let's go right to it. Let's hear where you're from, where
Okay.
you were born.
Yeah. Right on. So let me go back because I'm 51 years old now, so I gotta think deep.
And
So
let us know how you got into this. What were
yeah.
your musical
Well,
inspirations growing up?
yeah. Um, I suppose, but not suppose it is. I'm born and raised in the Bronx.
Boogie
Um,
down,
but
boogie
yeah,
down.
What
I
part of
still
the
love the
Bronx?
Bronx, bro. I love the Bronx.
always, always, and forever. As a matter of, I was born on Sheridan Avenue on the Grand Concourse,
I know where that is.
near Yankee Stadium. Actually, right across the street from Taft High School, which is apparently still there. That high school. But then that's like when I was born in 1970. But 3 years after, my parents moved to Parkchester, which is like the north part of the Bronx. And
Hmm,
it was a really up and coming, really nice neighborhood in the Bronx. So
a nice neighborhood.
yeah, it was a nice neighborhood in the north part of the Bronx. So I can never say that I grew up in the ghetto. I never did. I can never say that. But of course, the Bronx was always known to be ghetto, of course.
Right, right, right.
You know,
Every,
my dad did sacrifices. He was a single man working, bringing the bread and butter into the house while my mom took care of us. But
and they're both Puerto Rican, right?
both Puerto Rican, yes, God bless them. Yeah, my dad passed away a few years ago, but my mother still lives in Parkchester to this day.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm always there, every other week, basically. Got to go get my grub on proper for home cooking. Home cooking, so that's for sure. I got to get that in. And growing up in the Bronx, my first introduction to music and being around what I discovered DJs was hip hop music. Because that's where, of course, it was
Yeah.
started. So I was very intrigued, and my parents were very social parents. Always having the uncles over on the weekends, having their Millers, their Schaefers, their cigarettes in a 2-bedroom apartment. Me and my sister in the house. Everybody smoking. Why I don't have lung cancer yet, I don't know. Again, God bless me for sure, because everybody was smoking in the 2-bedroom apartment. That's just how it was. And my parents were always around the salsa music in the living room, and then I'd be in the room just listening to my hip hop, doing my young teenager stuff. Um, and I just got intrigued by DJing in the whole neighborhood, because Africa Islam and Bambaataa were part of the Bronx as well. So there were always street jams. So I went to a couple that I was just like, what is this? This is amazing. And it wasn't about that the DJs were like, front and center and the show off or whatever. It was more like they were entertaining people. And I found that fascinating. So I fast forward a couple of years, 1984, 83, I got a job at Carvel in Parkchester and worked like a whole full summer. and saved up enough money to get turntables that I bought on 14th Street and in the city. So that's when I basically, so hip hop and the Bronx is basically my main introduction into the music and how I discovered electronic music. And then it went from there, of course, because I actually started playing a little more hip hop, and I got into the battling scene for some reason. I don't know. And I got my ass whooped in a DJ battle one time.
Oh my God. How old were you?
Oh, I was 15 at least 15, something like that. And
so you started off with hip hop music.
And I still to this day in the basement of my house have my original collection of hip hop records.
Wow.
All my original hip hop, I still have it. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't want to move that stuff anymore. After moving records, it's a pain in the ass moving records.
Oh man, tell me about it.
But I've gotten nice offers, especially from Japanese collectors that say, "Oh, you have the original hip hop. I would love to buy it from you." I'm like, "I'll keep it a little longer, see what happens." So all that Run DMC, LL Cool J stuff, all the who else? Boogie Down Productions, all that kind of stuff. That's
how I started as well. Yeah.
All right, I didn't know that. So yeah, I mean, so hip hop was basically the introduction of how I started to get into DJing. But after I got my ass whooped in a DJ battle, I fell in love. I started finding more the electronic music. Electronic music, meaning like I would say like Joyce Sims and Shannon.
Did you get into freestyle music?
Well, that I'm getting there. So the reason I'm saying like Shannon and stuff because that was early freestyle.
Right. That was
what we considered freestyle. It wasn't freestyle, but it had that break beat.
Yeah, I think they call it electro funk. What was it called? Electro funk or something?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, but they called it freestyle.
Club music. It was called club music back then.
Club music for sure.
Freestyle didn't come into. They didn't call it freestyle till maybe 87, I think.
Exactly. 86. Right. So like what the year that I'm talking about right now is 84, 85, where I was playing all the very various kind of. I got into all different kind of genres of music because I was a very active mobile DJ. I did a lot of mobile DJ work. So weddings, sweet 16s, bar mitzvahs, you name it. I mean, all throughout my high school, I basically did a lot of mobile work, which really like kind of molded me, I think, come to think of it, of why I like all different kinds of music. I don't just stick with one style of music. So it's just because of being a mobile DJ, you learn.
Right,
you learn to have to entertain with different styles of music. So, I mean, I was playing Madonna, I was playing U2, a little bit of everything. So, but then, so then freestyle came along and then I fell in love with it. And in the Bronx, freestyle was like the king. It was huge.
Antonio loves freestyle, right, Antonio?
I got all of that. I just like he has all the hip hop, I got boxes of that stuff put away. I got into it.
You said put away.
I mean, I got into it when it was out, and then I moved on.
Yes.
I didn't stick with it, but I liked it when it was out. Yeah.
No. So I was a resident DJ at probably one of the most famous, probably the second famous club in the Bronx called La Mirage in the Bronx on Fordham Road.
What year is this that you start? What year is this?
87 to 91-ish. I played.
So how did you get that gig? Because that's a club.
Just basically from doing so many mobile DJ work in the Bronx and just kind of got the word famous, I guess, well known in the Bronx of being like one of the guys that you hired to play your wedding, your sweet 16, and then it finally I will say this. I was part of a VIP record pool. That's actually how I actually got the gig. I was part of Al Pizarro's VIP record pool. That was my first record pool. And because of Al Pizarro, who was a resident DJ at La Mirage, he brought me in and the rest is pretty much history. That's where I met like the Kiss Connection, the Vargas brothers, John Gungi Rivera, and my goodness, so many
rest in
two without
peace,
hats, and so I basically from that residency I started doing a party called Black Celebration. Every time there was a holiday, like a Sunday or Monday was a holiday, I did this thing where I would do Black Celebration, kind of an ode to Depeche Mode. They had their album called Black Celebration. And for the first hour and a half, I would play nothing but new wave alternative music. And people would walk in and just, it was very, very.
I love new wave.
Oh, no, it was great. We had
late 80s had great new wave.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we played Sinead O'Connor. We played Book of Love. I played When in Rome.
When in Rome.
When in Rome. Actually, as a matter of fact, When in Rome, I had them perform at La Mirage in the Bronx.
Wow.
They were on tour supporting their record. What was that guy? When in Rome.
A big one. Oh.
Yes. Shit.
The Chains of Love? No.
It'll come to me in a second, but they were doing their tour for that record. And I hooked up with one promoter, kind of booking agent, and we worked it out. They came to the Bronx. They couldn't believe it. And we had a good show. Yeah. What's that? We have to Google that one. When in Rome was the name.
I'll check it while y'all doing that.
Yeah. So that was my beginnings of my true history of getting into where I'm at right now. It basically cut the path to where I'm at today. I also was working at a record shop in the early 90s that called DJ Specialty Shop in the Bronx. It was a big record shop that became the main buyer I worked in that record shop for about 3 years, I think it was, up until like 92, I think it was. This was the record shop where a lot of Bronx DJs and producers that still to this day are doing well for themselves shopped at my record shop and bought all the hottest house records of that time in the 90s. I mean, Sandy Rivera, before he even became a producer, who also is from the Bronx, he was my customer. Just come in and it's like, oh, hook me up with the latest records, and that's how we became friends and still friends to this day. Because
where was your store at? Where was your store?
On Castle Hill in the Bronx. Castle Hill and right off of Boulevard.
I know that store. I used to go there.
Yeah.
DJ Specialty Shop.
And upstairs in the same store was SOS Record Pool. Robert Fernandez.
That was open for years. Open for years. I used to get my needles there. I used to get my needles from there.
You definitely dealt with me then. You definitely dealt with me.
Yo, I used to buy records there all the time. Right off of Bruckner.
Right off of Bruckner. I mean, Todd Terry would come up because we got so hot at breaking records in the Bronx. So Louis came all the time to the shop. Kenny Dope came to the shop. Like I said, Sandy Rivera. It was just a really cool scene, a really good hangout. It was more like, like the record shops in Manhattan where people would come on Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays and spend their afternoons and just listening to the latest imports or whatever.
I remember that store.
Yeah. It was we had all the bootlegs that were selling in all the record shops.
Yeah, and I remember like driving by there, even like when CDs came out and vinyl was starting to take a decline, it was still open.
Yeah, for sure.
All time. I remember.
The store was probably open maybe just about 4 years ago, probably closed.
Yeah.
Did they make the bootlegs also? Because I know a lot of shops used to make bootlegs.
No, we didn't make the bootlegs, but Alan Shivik, who was probably the biggest bootlegger in New York City, who would, out of the trunk of his car, he would come every Friday and bits and pieces, 80s, whatever, bits and pieces. Remember those?
I used to hear the stories from Rock and Soul too, man.
Yes. So that was his name, Alan Shivik. He was the one that would come around and sell the bootlegs to the side. We would sell by the bundles those things.
It's crazy how those bootlegs we used to sell. All those bootlegs. I used to have a lot of them. There was a lot of good stuff on those bootlegs.
Back then, that was Danny Krivit doing a lot of those.
Danny Krivit, he had Mr. K, I think it was called. He was doing that.
Well, he goes under Mr. K now, of course, but he was one of the ones that did a lot of those bootlegs back in the day, especially the ones with the acapellas, with all the acapellas on them. Remember those?
Yeah. Yo, I used to have a lot of those. I still have them on. I have them on digital.
They even had a Loft series. They had a Loft series, a Garage series.
Yeah.
They would put 2 or 3 classics.
Yep.
Yeah,
so while I worked in that store for about 3 years, and that's going on to like 92, I think it was, and that's where I made a lot of connections in the music business with a lot of labels because I was the head buyer for all the vinyl that came into the store. So early days of talking with Gladys at Strictly Rhythm, early days of talking with Mike Nervous,
But wait, but okay, so let's go back because you're jumping a little forward.
I know I'm jumping. Right?
Yeah, we can't leave some of this. Yeah, we can't leave some of this history that many people don't know about.
Right.
Trying to skip.
I'm jumping around.
But let's
I know we worked at that store, and I used to go to that store all the time.
Let's go. Let's talk about the house music. Your first exposure to house music. How did that come about? How did that happen?
So you are completely right, and thank you for stopping me for putting on the brakes, because it's true that from when I got into freestyle, and that did well for me, but then I started falling out of love with freestyle because it was just
that happened to everybody. It happened to me. Like 1990, I was stretching it already. But 1991, that Lisette Melendez came out.
Yeah,
I forgot the name of it. Forever Together Forever. I was like, okay, that was like the last freestyle record I ever bought after that.
Absolutely. And I felt like I was like leaving them behind. It was just, I felt bad, I wasn't doing the parties anymore or the events, and I had all the support from all the big groups, everybody that performed at La Mirage. They were really good friends, and then I just when I started falling out of love with it, and when I discovered basically Chicago house music, that's where it was basically. That's where it just, I found this music because I was getting the records from Al Bizarro at the pool. And I was just like, my goodness, what is this stuff? This really connects with me. I really feel it. It was fresh. It was a lot of the acid house too in the late 80s as well. And
a lot of the freestyle records too were coming with
house mixes.
Yeah, a lot of freestyle. Sometimes they would call them casa mixes or house. That's how I learned a lot about house music.
That's correct. Yeah. That's right. I mean, probably my favorite, if I would say, of a freestyle house mix was probably Sapphire. When the one that Morales did, that was amazing. No.
I've been told no. I can't.
My mind right now. I gotta turn my other computer around so I can go in my iTunes and tell you. I get brain farts right now. But turn it up. Taste the bass. That was probably one of the best housey that had been like a freestyle record turned house. That was incredible. Actually, Cynthia did a couple of things, and then of course Todd Terry. He was an ace of doing some really good.
Todd Terry was really one of my first inspirations, maybe, or he definitely introduced me to the harder edge house music.
Absolutely,
that everybody wanted that was really banging in New York. Like I used to go to my first clubs I used to go to was Lemoore East in Queens.
Oh yeah,
he used to run that music. His music, like
yeah. Todd was an early supporter of me when I was playing. I had my residency at La Mirage. I was able to go to his house in Coney Island, and he would give me reel-to-reels of the latest, the Texican, all those cuts. That I mean, everything. Yeah, buddy. I have it all on reel-to-reel. So I would play on reel-to-reel at the club. Wow. And he would come once in a while to La Mirage. So he was definitely a big supporter and one of the biggest and most important freestyle producers of freestyle, basically. He Fascination, Why You Want to Go. Coro stuff was amazing. Amazing. Those are both the best when it came to like freestyle records. That definitely where they were quality, and they had song structure. They had really good melodies and good singers as well. So that after I fell out of love with freestyle, and then as I told you, I found acid house and Chicago house music, the Marshall Jefferson stuff. East Move, all those guys from Chicago. That's where I really started getting heavily into house music, and so that's how that period. So that's 91-ish.
Yeah, around that time you started getting into production too, no?
A little bit. Yeah,
I got a record. It's funny. I think it's the first record. I looked it up on Discogs, and I had that record, the Big Baby record, which is your name is on it.
Yeah.
But did you actually? What did you do for that? What did you do?
I actually produced that record with a guy named Paul Punzon. And the way that
was a dope record, man. That was a dope record. I remember buying that. I was like, wow. The acid mix was my favorite.
Acid mix was the man. So that was at a studio. I produced that record at a studio in Astoria, Queens. and they had, I don't know if you guys remember the Synclavier sampler. Synclavier, it was like this not million, but thousands of dollars sampler, and where it had like the capacity to sample large amounts of music. So, and just had a great sound. And after high school, I graduated high school in '84, and I didn't want to go to college because I was already DJing a lot and doing a lot of things. And I told my parents, school's not for me. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to go to college.
They didn't want to hear that.
That actually, no, they were pretty cool about it. But the compromise was that I was going to go to Institute of Audio Research for engineering school. So I kind of kept it within the game of what I was feeling.
My mom didn't want to hear it. She said, "You should go to
Really?
college." You know, I wanted to go to some kind of audio music school. I forgot what it was. Whatever. You know how
I did 1 year at Institute of Audio Research on 14th Street.
I think that was a school that I wanted to go to. I think that was.
It was a big school. A big school. My dad paid for that. He said, "All right, if you really want to do it," and I actually graduated with flying colors as far as like my ear for studio engineering and sound. And that's where I met Paul Punzone. He was a classmate of mine. He's from Long Island originally. And that's where I also in my graduating class was a guy named Michael Paoletta.
Michael, the writer.
The writer for Billboard magazine. Yeah. He did the dance column in the early 2000s. And so Michael was in my class. And before he became a writer or anything so to this day, like we're really cool friends because we can always go back and talk about.
Hector, this is all before digital, right? Like there wasn't plugins like digital.
Yeah, it was.
This was like 88, 89, right?
This is. So I graduated 84. So we're talking about. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I graduated 88. So 89 is when I went to.
There was no Pro Tools, no Logic. This was all board,
straight up the board, analog.
So, yeah.
So how did that record do? What label was that? I never saw another release from that.
It was self-made label that Paul started, and from what I know, he's told me it sold at least 20, 30, 40,000 records of those records. Yeah, he did pretty well back then with that record.
You didn't see any money? Did you?
It was a friendly. He paid me a little bit. We worked out some money, but yeah, it was.
That was a good record. This was like 89, right? That was 89.
89, yeah.
Yeah, that acid mix was kind of dope. It was acid. Acid
it still works.
Yeah, that acid. I need to get that.
I have the vinyl which y'all talking about.
Yeah.
That acid mix was kind of was hitting hard, man.
So that was the year.
I still remember I bought that record. I bought that record at Number Records and Tapes in Queens.
Oh wow!
I remember when I bought it.
How about that? Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for buying it. Appreciate it. So that's when I was like, like any other DJ, kind of like thinking like, where am I going to take this? Am I going to get into production? Yeah. What am I going to do? It was just like, all right, I think I want to get into production. It's not like it was written in stone, but I did it. And I did a couple of things. I even worked on a couple of freestyle records too, as well.
Some stuff on Nervous. I saw on this.
Nervous was what I did a record on one of my first. I think it was like the first 10 records of Nervous Records. I think it was something like that. I did that a record with my boys from the Bronx called Louis Passion, another DJ from the Bronx, and so yeah, I thought production was my calling. I thought it was gonna be. But I quickly found out that I was forcing it. I didn't. It wasn't a natural. It wasn't a natural feeling to go in the studio. I wasn't really looking forward to, hungry to go in the studio. I know I was DJing a lot, and it was just a thing. People say, "Oh, you got to start making records." I was like, "Really? Okay, I guess I have to." Yeah, it was just
good to know your limitations and where you're at. You know what I mean?
It took me a minute to find out those limitations. It wasn't instant.
And that's okay. That's a strength. That's not a weakness, bro. That's a strength.
Absolutely.
Focus your energy and to what you really love doing.
Exactly. So, from those couple of records, it was kind of like having a record on Nervous Records. Like so early in my career, I was like, "Damn, okay." It's like I guess I have to continue doing this, and then I kept trying and. I let it go basically. So
you did quite well without, you know, DJing wise, without
Yeah,
producing.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause I
No,
think
it wasn't.
I think you're one of the very few DJs that, like, you know, like Crivet and all these that don't really have a big catalog of production really, but they've done well DJing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why Criv is one of my favorite DJs in the world for sure, because of that fact.
Yeah.
You know, he's a DJ. I consider that's my first love and my passion will always be.
Right.
I always say to young guys coming up in the scene, I always give my advice. You don't have to be a DJ, a remixer producer to make it in this business. You can find your way, find other ways.
yes.
It's probably harder than ever now. I get it. And I know you have to try. You have to try. Maybe you will create a wicked record and you get found and you get discovered. But there's other aspects in this business that you can be discovered in. And for me was basically going from the record shop and making connections in the music. And then when I left the record shop, I got hired by Emotive Records. I worked at Emotive Records.
I wanted to ask you that. I wasn't sure. I knew you. I thought you did work at Emotive.
I worked at Emotive from 92, I think it was, to 95, 95, almost 95.
Whatever happened to David Chang? What happened to this guy?
That is the question I get asked quite often. Whatever happened to David Chang, and what happened to that music catalog of that beautiful label?
Well, I'm sure most of the producers took their masters back. I mean,
yeah, at this point, yeah, any producer that produced for Emotive Records, all the masters reverted back to the original producers, and it's unfortunate that he was basically a simple-minded, closed-minded person that didn't see the future and was only thinking for the moment. And nothing is available digitally. There's no DATs. There's no DATs of anything. So whatever, if you can get a digital copy, is from when getting it from the producer direct. Yeah. I mean,
there was a lot of good stuff. So what did you do for them?
We had brighter
days.
No, I was because I came from the record shop. I was hired as a head of sales. So basically, my job came into Emotive to sell our catalog to all the record shops around the world, or mostly for the United States. So I made connections with every dope record shop in America. I had the list. I would call every week, hey, our new release, just on the phone, just like really grassroots, guerrilla style, just like calling all the time, faxing our latest release, our press release, letting them know, shipping out a test pressing to the record shop.
Labels these days, all these producers who start labels, they don't know the struggles that we had back in the days to push a record.
Man, but a struggle is true, but
with the communication alone, it was very
incredible.
Man. I remember
vinyl records, like promos. I had to mail vinyl records to Italy, to DJs in different parts of the world. Now it's expensive.
Mailing, faxing.
To mail
records. My God.
It was fun though. It was
man. Oh yeah, it was fun.
It was everything for me. I was working in a record shop. I was 22 years old, whatever age I was. I think it was 22, and that's where I met Ted Patterson, because he was one of the head of A&Rs and promotions. So that's where we became friends, and how I met him, and still one of my best buddies in the business. Not even in the business, just became just a dear friend. So yeah, it's unfortunate that what happened with Emotive Records, that he just had no vision, basically. To this day, nobody knows where he's at, what he's doing,
or if he's even still alive.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's true.
Well, most I know, a lot of producers took their stuff back. Like I know Willie Wall, they took back all that Mercury mixes of
yeah.
So there was a lot of Jovan, I'm sure, took all his stuff back that he had in Emotive and all that.
So I gotta tell the famous story that I usually tell about Jovan.
I gotta hear this. Was it a singing story? Is it a singing story?
No. So I'm gonna say it was 92, and it was a Friday. I still remember it clearly. Ted and I are working in the office. We're doing our thing, just working away. And probably like 4 o'clock in the evening, 4 guys walk into the office. Thugs, big guys, like walk in, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on here?" It's just me and Ted and David Chang in the back, and they turn off the lights in the office, and I'm like, "Can we help you?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're here to collect royalty check for Jovan. Where's David Chang?" And I'm like, "Back there. He's back there. I don't know." I'm like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" I'm like really like terrified now. And me and Ted looking at each other like, "Yo." Then the lights go on. Jovan walks in and he points to me and Ted. He goes, "Him and him, they got nothing to do with this. Leave them alone. I'm here to collect my check. Where the fuck is David Chang?" And he goes to the back to David Chang. He goes, "I'm here to collect my royalties." He was due money for sales, royalties. I mean, straight up hardcore collecting like that, like with 4 dudes in the back behind against the wall waiting, militant style. And you know they were packing for sure. And there's no doubt in my mind. I didn't see the guns, but there was no doubt in my mind. Oh, they played it off really well. Can I tell you that man walked out of there with a check, bro? He walked out of there with a check, gave me a fist bump and Ted, and walked out with his check.
Wow.
A true story at Emotive Records of Jovan.
Ted was the A&R? What was Ted?
Ted was head of club promotions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the A&R was basically like a community kind of us. There's like David Chang, myself, Josh Dirienzes who was David Chang's partner early on the label, and myself and Ted. So we would like listen to demos and just kind of like, you know, communal. Like, you like this? You like this? Yeah, let's sign it. Let's sign it. Basically, it's like Daje Brighter Days after it came out on Ultra State. You know, we picked it up, and then we were the ones that did all the remixes with
Clubhouse. I think was it Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, or yes, I wanted to say
Cashmere.
Yeah, I was gonna say Altered State, but that was another label from Chicago that we distributed as well on Emotive. So we did the Todd Terry mix. We did the Masters at Work remix on that. We did Felix the House Cat in the Can You See the Light in the Dark? What was it called? You remember that? Felix the House Cat?
Yeah.
I Can See the Light.
You also had the other one. Oh, what's the name? You also had Mateo and Matos join in there. That was pretty big, no?
Which one?
No, not Mateo and Matos. Of David Morales mix of something.
Oh yeah. So David did. Let me turn this thing around because my memory is shot, and there's a lot of records we could definitely talk about. So I'm just gonna turn this computer around. It's my other one. Let me put this over here.
Well, even Mateo and Matos had a big record on there, no?
It was on another label that we had called Thumping Records. That was part of Emotive.
Oh, okay.
But just to.
What about this guy Nelson Paradise? Was that on one of the labels?
It was Illegal Records.
Illegal. Wasn't Illegal part of Emotive? No. That was a totally separate label, right?
Yep.
No, Illegal was part of was it 8-Ball Records, was it?
Hector, by the way, happy birthday to your daughter. You had a daughter. You have a daughter who had a birthday yesterday, right?
Yeah, her 21st birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
That's crazy.
That's thank you so much. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Wow. To think that 21 years ago, I was like, I'm a dad. I can't believe it. So
she looks just like you, man. She looks just like you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a good time. She had a good time. She's actually going this weekend. There's a club in the city called Somewhere Nowhere, which is like probably one of the hottest clubs right now in the city as far as like the scene. Louis played Saturday, actually, this past Saturday, Vega. And he said that he had fun. So she's going to go this Saturday, hang out with her girlfriends. And I got them all hooked up to go hang out and, you know, get a table and hang out. Just,
nice.
You know, be 21 and without having to show fake ID anymore. So the record we were talking about is Michelle Ayers, Respect. That was
yeah. And David Morales also had maybe that wasn't Illegal.
How about the When in Rome?
Oh yeah, so When in Rome. So
got the
I Hear Music by David Morales remix. What label was that? Was that Illegal?
The Promise by When in Rome.
The Promise. And I had that wax. I had that 12-inch. That was a big record, man.
Huge crossover record.
My wife calls it my white boy phase. My wife calls it my white boy side of me.
That's right.
Because I love all that new wave stuff.
All that alternative new wave stuff. It was great. What was the other one we were just talking about?
Well, actually, the David Morales, he had I Hear Music. Was that on illegal or was that on?
No,
illegal?
that's Todd Terry. I Hear Music.
But
On illegal.
It wasn't illegal. Wasn't there a Morales mix on that or something?
Mm-mm. I Hear the Music. That one. Todd Terry, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So much music, man.
So why did you leave Emotive?
Good question.
What year did you leave Emotive?
94. 94.
And they were still kicking it. They were pretty big in 94 still.
94 still.
94, I think even the Merc stuff was still hot.
No, it was pretty much almost ending in 94. So long story short, I was subletting an apartment in Queens that David Chang's mother owned in Queens. So I was working for him, but he had this apartment that his mother moved to China, and he's like, "Oh, I got this really nice 1-bedroom apartment. Would you like to move into it?" I did. I moved in, lived about almost 2 years in it. I would pay him the rent every month.
And he wasn't paying it. Let me guess.
You nailed it.
Yes, he wasn't paying the rent.
You nailed it. So one day I walk into my apartment, and there's a note underneath.
Crazy, bro.
Rent has not been paid 8 months, something like that. Evict the premises, something happened, whatever.
Fails, bro.
And they knew that I was a subletting. They knew I wasn't the owner.
Yeah.
They wanted me out. And I'm like, heated. Like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? So I cursed them out, basically. Long story short, gave them shit, quit. And in 94, I don't remember what month it was, I was like in limbo. I was DJing a lot, though. DJing and hanging out at Red Zone every weekend. So I just didn't know what I was going to do. I was basically homeless. I mean, I could have gone to my mother's house, but I didn't want to do that. And then the label closed, I think in 95, I think it was. And so that 94, after I quit at Emotive and basically just was DJing, I turned to David. I'm skipping around a lot. I'm sorry. Because at Red Zone, while I was hanging out a lot at Red Zone, which I didn't know Morales, I was just going because he was the resident DJ, and I was just like, Red Zone was my paradise garage.
Yeah, that was my stomping. That was one of my stomping grounds.
Yeah, I never went to the garage.
I never got to go there.
Yeah, garage was before my time too, man.
Me too. Yeah, I was too young to go to the garage.
But Red Zone on Saturdays and Red Zone sometimes on Thursdays, Basil would play there too. It was
life changing.
Yeah, David Morales, man, did his thing. He had me in awe. Sometimes I remember these mixes. I still remember a lot of the mixes that he did. I was like, whoa.
It's incredible. I mean, it was that period in 91, 90 to 95-ish or something like that. Wait, 94.
No, I think even 94. I think it was already closed by then.
Yeah, 94. It wasn't 95, but he was outputting so much music. It was like a machine.
Red Zone mix.
Oh my God. It was
Allison Limerick. Remember that?
What's crazy is that Red Zone started like in 88, 89. I think 89, I think.
89, yes. And I would go religiously every weekend. Just me and my boys just hanging out every weekend. And it got to a point that I would be there on the corner by the DJ booth just doing this thing all night like this. True story. And he'll tell you, he crumbled up a piece of paper one time. Didn't know me from a fly. Nobody. He didn't know me for nothing. Threw the paper at me and hit me in the head. And I turned around from the DJ booth. He goes, "Yo, snap out of it." I'm like, dude, I was in the zone. I was just like, just vibing for hours. I'd be there like this. And he crumpled up a piece of paper. He goes, "Snap out of it." And I was just like, okay. So what happened was that during that period, I was DJing a lot in the Bronx and had a really good following. And the owner's son of the Red Zone, Maurice Brahms, was the owner of Red Zone, famous club owner in New York City. His son, Eric Brahms, is kind of like, fast talking, Jewish, had a lot of money, just like wanted to make things happen. He came all the way to the Bronx to find me. He goes, I heard you got things going on in the Bronx, and you're promoting parties. I said, how would you like to do a party at the Red Zone? And you and David Morales. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. I mean, like,
Nice.
yeah, it was incredible. It's just the way it happened, It was a Sunday in 1990. Oh, my years are horrible. I'm sorry, forgive me. But it had to be like 94, 93, maybe the most.
It could have been like 393, 94. I don't think Red Zone passed 94.
So 93.
That might be a stretch.
It was a Sunday. Monday was a holiday. And we had El General. We booked El General to perform.
Wow.
Which that record was like the biggest record at that moment. So boom, 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 mami, whatever that was.
So it had to be. I think it had to be a little bit earlier than that. Came out like in 92.
I think it was 92, 93. 92, 93. So we had a blockbuster party that night. It was crazy. I mean, like the line down the block, wrapped around the corner. People, incredible. Oh, and we had Brand Nubians also. Brand Nubians. So it was that era when it was hip hop and house. Was Red like
Zone, Mars. They all did that.
Yeah,
that was a fun time, man.
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. So that was the first night I met Morales when I first played with him, and how this connection, how I met Morales through Eric Brahms, the owner's son of the Red Zone. It was funny because
that was a nice hookup, man.
Oh, it was an incredible hookup. I mean, another thing that basically
friends and all that. All these years, y'all still friends. Y'all
still right. I mean, exactly. Like that basically cut the path again. Another part of my life, how the journey to where I'm at to this day.
Yeah.
So David doesn't really know me, but he's kind of heard about me. So he gets my number from Eric Brahms like 3 weeks before the party. He calls me up. Hey, how you doing? This is Dave Morales. I heard we're gonna play together. We'll see. I heard you do good things up in the Bronx. He goes, but let me ask you a question. He goes, you don't play any of that freestyle shit, right?
Dope. I love it.
You got to pull back. You got to take away his Puerto Rican card. Take away the Puerto Rican card away.
That it was raw David Morales style.
You better bring some shit with you, boy.
Right. It was just like that. Like he laid the law. Like, don't come to my house playing none of that shit. And I was just, mind you, though, I had stopped playing freestyle for like 2 years, but I still had the reputation of being, because I was still known as Baby Heck. That's the other.
I was going to ask you, Baby Heck.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, nah, hey, I'm on the phone with this guy. Like, I'm like, holy shit, I'm listening to him every weekend. I'm finally gonna get to play with him, and he thinks I'm a freaking 2-putts freestyle DJ from the Bronx. I'm like, nah, man, I don't play freestyle anymore. I'm straight up house. Not to worry, don't worry. I know what I gotta do. And fast forward to the night at the Red Zone.
Y'all killed it.
I was fucking shitting bricks, bro. I mean, the nerves of your hands lifting the needle.
I can't imagine you playing with David Morales on one of the hottest clubs in New York.
Yep.
Nervous to the max. I mean, like seriously, shaking, like my nerves. Yeah. I mean, to this day, I still get nervous when I'm DJing, but like that day was just like twofold. It was incredible. So I do the opening set, of course, and he comes early and he's there hanging out and we hit it off. I mean, basically, like he enjoyed my set. Another true story. From that night, he goes, at the end of the night, it was a complete success. It was like probably one of the biggest New York parties in that year. And he goes to me, I'm going to London for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to need somebody to play for me. And I like the way you play. So you want to play? Like, I was like, what?
Yeah, that's dope.
That night, he asked me to play for 2 weeks to fill in for him. I was just like,
Wow.
no way, no way. It, like floored. And his light man, David Wolf, which like before Ariel was probably the best light man in New York City during that era. He fell in love with me the way I played, and he embraced me, and then from there, from that night on, and after David got back and he heard that I did well those nights that I filled in for him, I basically became his opening DJ at every gig that he did in New York City. So all the Red Zone, all the Club USA, any gig that he did, and he wasn't in the mood to start the night because he was always traveling and doing his thing, and I was his opening DJ. So that's how we hit it off, basically. And so back to '94, when I wasn't working anymore after I left Emotive, I said, look, I'm out of work right now. I'm looking for something to do in the music business. I said, keep me in mind. Let me know what's up. I'm down to do whatever. And he goes, oh yeah, really? Okay. And he's like, I'm thinking of starting a label. And I said, okay, yeah. And there was no name to the label. It wasn't going to be called Def Mix Records. He wanted something completely different, something different to put out his music early in the early 90s, 94, 95. And so I get a phone call in 95. He goes, you want to work? And I said, yeah. What's up? What's going on? He goes, come to Quad Studios. And that was the Quad Studios where he did all the productions. Like that was like #1 studio on 54th Street, 42nd Street in Manhattan. He goes, I have a session. Come to the studio, meet Judy Weinstein. We'll have a chat and we'll talk about what my ideas. So I go to the meeting. I get all dressed up. I get all like, oh shit, like, oh man, like damn, dude, like David's calling me for like I don't know what, but we'll see. So we're in the lounge at the studio. And I meet Judy for the first time. Like, hey, how you doing? Like, we sit down, and they start toking up a couple of joints, and I'm like, and they pass it to me. I'm like, it's like, should I say yes or no? Should I take it?
Did you ever smoke before that?
I smoked. Yeah, I was smoking a lot back in my early 90s. Yeah, for sure. But I wasn't sure. Was it a test? Like, I'm in a job interview. Like, do I take the joint? I didn't know what to think. I was like, are they testing me? Like, what is that? Like, so basically, I passed on it. I passed on the joint, and I was like, damn. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna take this joint right now. I'm trying to do serious business here. And so basically, they said, look, we were looking at starting a label, and we want you to come on board. And, we know what you've been doing with Emotive, what you did at Emotive, and so think about it. We would like to have you on board at Def Mix, to start this new label. There's no name to the label, and see if you're interested. Of course, I was like, yeah, I'm down right now. Where do I sign? Whatever. It's like, let's do it. So I said yes, of course, and that was 95, and that's from the beginning my starting at Def Mix, and where I basically started the label Definity, where we have Definity Records and Moment of My Life with Bobby D'Ambrosio,
big one, yeah.
David's Needing You. I worked on all those. That was basically like my claim to fame of doing like sort of A&Ring in the music business. I knew how to sell records because I had a connection with all the record shops. So we were selling records like to everybody in the United States. So I had my connection with my distributors. Remember Watts Music? Of course you remember Watts.
Watts. What's his name? What was his name? What was the guy's name?
David.
David.
I
forgot his name.
Yeah. And Wendy.
Unique. It was Unique, Watts, Downtown, the big dogs in New York.
Yeah, so it was Donna Russo at Unique. It was Linda and Judy Russell at Downtown.
Yeah.
And it was Watts with Wendy and David.
Those are the three big dogs right there.
3 big dogs. Amazing.
And that's how I met you. And that was around 95 too.
That's
when
right.
I used to drop off records, I used to
work at Wacko.
Ted Patterson was the one. I don't know how he left, why he left Emotive too, but
yep,
he was the one that hired me, and that's how I met you.
That's right.
Take records for the record, and I used to drop off records for you or David, both of you guys, or whatever.
I remember that. I remember when I
remember seeing you you sitting behind the desk looking all executive and everything. Me dropping off records at my first little job as a music business.
I remember. I mean, because you had a lot of good records on Wacko early days.
Yeah, we had some good stuff, and a lot of them were A&R by Ted, who was the A&R
That's
at the
right.
beginning.
That's right. Yep.
He had.
Exactly.
I remember when he hired me as an intern. He had a whole
Incredible.
bunch of dads on the table. He had Oscar G, Lenny
Yep.
Fontana,
Yep.
Mood to Swing, Take Me Baby. I love that record.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So then when he left, those records finally came out on wax, and
Yeah. So yeah, that was basically that's the path basically. Just and then what? I mean, Def Mix right now is pretty much
right.
precipitated for the most part, you know, and just because it was just how Judy's retired pretty much. Judy Weinstein's retired, but she's my girl for life. We still talk every week.
Right.
You know,
You were part of. Well, you were in the you weren't part of For the Record, but you were probably a member, right?
yeah. So I had like free membership basically because I was part of Def Mix. So
Whatever happened to this guy, Jeffrey Allen?
Jeffrey Allen, my goodness, my buddy.
What
nobody.
the fuck happened to this guy, man?
He basically like got fed up with the music business and seriously are like basically retired and like off the face of the earth. Nobody knows anything. Even his best buddies that were really close to him in the pool.
Where was he from? Where's he from?
From New York, but
no. Where did he work?
Oh, he was
for the
record pool, which was the record pool that was inside Def Mix.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like he got fed up when Judy closed the pool. That's what it was. When Judy closed the pool, and forgive me, it had to be like 2002-ish, maybe something like that, where she didn't want to do the pool anymore. It was just struggling. They weren't getting the vinyl anymore because digital was starting to become popular, and the record companies weren't servicing vinyl that much anymore. He got fed up and said, I'm done. And he had a daughter to support, which I respect, of course. And but the way he did it was just kind of like left it, like basically like
he's not alone, man. He's not alone. A lot of people have done that. A lot of DJs,
really?
A lot of
I don't know too many like that was so into it heavily and then just like
such a nice guy, man.
Close the door.
Nice guy. Really nice guy, man. I used to drop off records at the pool. He was really nice, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, I considered him like a really close friend, not just a co-worker.
Yeah.
And to not hear from him ever again, I thought, man, geez, what happened? Something happened to him, physically, something. I don't know what it was, health-wise, but it wasn't. From what I heard, it wasn't that. He was just fed up.
He just got tired. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I mean, like he was really close with Casio, right? Because he wasn't from New York; he was from Jersey. So he was very close with Casio. Even Casio had no idea what happened to him. He just flipped the script, and I mean, I hope he's doing well, doing something.
Yeah, man. I hope he's doing great, man. I hope he's well, man.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. It's a shame.
Yes, yeah.
That
record pool was. If you were part of record pool, you were a real DJ.
All the big dogs were on there.
I'm sorry?
All the big dogs were on that record.
Everybody. That's how I became close with Danny Krivit because Danny Krivit, like a true hoarder.
He got like 4 bins,
He probably was there every fucking day, probably.
No, he would take the worst of the worst records. Like he would just take them. Like there was this love, this passion for vinyl with him. And that's why I respect it. No, like
passion.
Ridiculous. It's like,
bro, you gotta give it to him.
Yeah, it's incredible. His passion for it is second to none, and that's why I said I still call him my favorite DJ for sure. Because he would personally come to my office and ask me what you got, like what you got left over. Like I'd be like, oh, I got these right here, and I swear they were the worst records. He would take them. I don't know what he was doing with them, but he would take them for sure. Incredible. So in that record pool, everybody was. Who else was part of that record pool? That was,
I think Francois was there.
Francois was part of that pool. Yeah, Junior Vasquez was part of the pool for a while.
I think Junior had an office. Junior had an office in that building too.
Junior's office was
down the hall.
No, down the next door. Like you could hear whatever he was playing in his office.
Yeah, because there was a studio. There was another studio on the same floor, I think.
Yeah.
Two-Ton Sound, Eddie.
Yeah. So we had 400, Suite 400 on the fourth floor was Def Mix. 401 was Junior Vasquez Productions, and then that other studio, like a couple of offices down.
Yeah,
and that fourth floor was killing it every day with music. Like there was neighbors that were on the upstairs and downstairs, like complaining all the time about the music being too loud. It was.
We used to work when I worked at the label. I used to go to Two-Ton Sound, and I would stop by for the record to say what's up. But that whole floor was all music.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Junior Vasquez's on office right next door. I was like, wow. The whole area, I think Strictly Rhythm was
I was just gonna say that the whole Chelsea area. What was incredible about that area was it was Strictly Rhythm. It was Nervous Records. Well, Nervous Records was a little more up north. There was Tommy Boy. There was, like we said, Strictly Rhythm. There was a couple other labels in that area. So basically, like if you were like getting your promos, your test pressings, you would go and just to every office, you know.
Right.
It was good times during that era.
Yeah, that was really fun times, man. That was really great times. I'm so like fortunate and thankful that I was able to be part of that.
Yeah. So I basically spent 25 years. I grew up at Def Mix, basically 25 years basically at Def Mix, up until when it basically was pretty much over. And no one's ever announced that Def Mix is over. It's just kind of like happened. It was just kind of one of those things that Judy never wanted to make an announcement that it was over. David did his thing and, changed and basically left Judy and that's it.
The whole digital thing changed the game for everybody. The whole digital
everything, bro.
And I pretty much know exactly when it happened, like 1999. Before people say 2001 when the Twin Towers thing, but around 99, 98, the first computers came out with the CDR burners.
Yep.
When those CDR burners came out on computers to the public,
that
was a wrap. That was it. That was a wrap. Everybody. That was around 99, 2000.
Yep. Yeah, no, I remember when
there's a pandemic, people don't want to pay for music.
Exactly. And then during that time in early 2000, 1999 and 2000 is when Satoshi and I started SAW Recordings, SAW.
Oh, that's right. SAW. No, you were part of that, huh?
Co-owner with Satoshi on it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So
that,
it was
what's up with that brother?
Satoshi's doing well. He's
some of my favorite.
He still produces, right?
Yeah, some of my favorite productions, bro.
Yeah, beautiful productions. Yeah,
beautiful records, bro. Beautiful.
I know he's a musician.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, I always tell Satoshi because we're still very close. I went to one of his shows last week. He did a live, like he basically not techno, but very like techie sound.
Right.
And I always tell him, I said, this music is beneath you, bro. He goes, I know, but I like it. So I'm like, because the man can produce orchestras, like he can conduct a symphony. He's so educated like that. So to hear him just produce techie stuff that's kind of like repetitive and I always tell him, I'm honest with him. I like this, but it's
my friend Douglas Sherman. He just turned me on to something that's like the way you describing it. Where's this guy Braun? I think his name is Braun. Something Braun, like it's like that. Like he actually has an orchestra. And he's doing his electronic music is amazing.
Yeah.
Braun. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
But it's like that, very electronic and just out there, man.
But those are Def Mix that these guys got to work with great musicians too. I mean, Satoshi's a great musician himself.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, he probably played on some of the best remixes of Def Mix records.
Eric Cupper too. Eric Cupper was another one.
Yeah, it was Eric Cupper. It was
Paul Shapiro with the flute, I think.
Paul Shapiro with the flute with the whistle song. He's the one that played the whistle, the flute on the whistle song. My goodness, it was endless. But the Satoshi was there, right? It's left front and center as being the programmer. / keyboard player for all the best top records that ever became Def Mix. So to basically to have grown up and listened to every production that came out of that farm is mind blowing when I think about it now. Like, I mean, the office, we had an office that was basically the size of my office. Everything was 2 inches, everything. There's like stacked, like there was everything. Like, I mean, from Black Sheep to Alison Limerick to Mariah Carey. I mean, I now that it's over, I reflect. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what I listened to first and before everybody in part. I sat long sessions in the studio. Alexander O'Neal, what is this thing called Love? You know that?
That's
right.
Yeah.
I sat there the whole time and listened to that from beginning to end. I sat during.
I got 3 copies of that on vinyl. I got sealed copies of that song. That's how much I love that song.
If you need anything digital from the Def Mix catalog, I got you. I got everything in my office right here. So anything, but the thing that the catalog that I have of Def Mix remixes is pre-mastering.
Wow.
So it's
we would have to do our own mastering.
But because these guys were doing this stuff on an SSL, the warmth and the beauty and the sound of these pre-mastered versions, like all you need to just is like hook up the EQ when you're playing them on your mixer, and they're gonna sound like nobody's business. They're like crazy, like warm, slow end, and then give it a little gain because they're not mastered, of course. But amazing the way these things sound. So yeah, my whatever you need for sure. It's my pleasure to give you guys.
No, thank you. So let's go back to your So you started working at Def Mix, and when did you start DJing in Europe? Because I know you was playing New York. I remember I checked you out at Save the Robots. You was playing at Save the Robots.
So Save the Robots is actually, it's funny that you say that, because Save the Robots, when I started working in 95, at Def Mix, and only a few months into working and like basically being like scared of Judy Weinstein because she was so militant and basically running a tight ship. So I was working Tuesday nights at Save the Robots until like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and which was probably one of the best after hours clubs in the city. And what I would do is 7, 8 o'clock, finish in Manhattan and the Lower East Side. I'm not going to go home to Queens when I was living at that time to go home and then come back into the city. So I had keys to the office. So I would go and basically sleep in the office from like 8 o'clock in the morning until like 10 o'clock, 11 when she would walk in. But she would notice that I'd be sleeping in the office. She would walk in and be like, the hell are you doing sleeping on the couch? Like, I was like, oh, I was DJing last night. But because, we're in the record and we're in the music business, she understood. She basically became pretty cool. She goes, all right, well, you're here. Like, get up, brush your teeth, let's get to work. That's basically how it happened. Like,
wow, that's funny.
I was like, okay. As a matter of fact, she fired, David Morales was a director of the record pool in his early days before he became famous. He was a director of For the Record, and he would be out DJing or in the studio, and then but because he worked at For the Record as an employee, like a salary, he would come to work either like messed up, tired, hungover, or whatever it was, or late. So she fired David. She fired David. She goes, I can't have you as my employee. I got a business to run. If you can't handle it, I'll get another record pool director to do it. But I understand that you're talented and you're doing some amazing remixes and you're playing. She goes, why don't we start a company together called Def Mix? That's exactly how it started. She fired him before Def Mix started.
Wow.
And then they became partners in Def Mix. That's exactly how it happened. So like for me, when I'm in the office sleeping, like half drunk basically from hanging out and playing all night as Save the Robots, but she understood, that's what we do as DJs basically. So she was cool about it, but she wanted to make sure that I was up and ready to work.
So you played there on Tuesdays, you said? Tuesdays and what?
Tuesday nights, and that was for remember Alan Sanctuary?
Yeah.
Alan Sanctuary was like one of the like hottest promoters in New York City. So he was the one that was basically hosting that Tuesday night at Save the Robots, and we had a lot of DJs come and play with me at Save the Robots. We had guest DJs. As a matter of fact, I remember we had the first time that he came to New York to play at Save the Robots was DJ Sneak. So he comes to play at Save the Robots, and we had a Yuri in the booth. But Chicago DJs, they don't know about it. They're more fader DJs and crossfader DJs. And first of all, he comes to the gig and he left his headphones back in Chicago, so he had no headphones. And then he had no idea how to work the Yuri mixer. So I basically had to give him a lesson of how to work a Yuri mixer. And my headphones.
Did he fall in love with it afterwards?
He fell in love with it. He did.
I falls in love with the Yuri, man.
That was fun. That was a dope spot. Save the Robots was so much fun.
That's my original one right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
93-ish.
Yeah, I saw when you posted something about somebody had put this console together for you you was redoing your console or something, right? Recently.
Was that?
You was using a new cover like for your mixer or something within the last year. You posted something about he's giving it a facelift or something.
Yeah, it's possible. The one in my basement, yes, yeah. Because downstairs I have my whole record collection and my.
Let me ask you a question that I like to ask everyone that comes on. Of all the thousands of places that the gigs that you've had, which just tell us about one that sticks out for you and why.
Oh, that because it's so dear to my heart. That's an easy answer. It's Stereo in Montreal. Stereo in Montreal, probably.
What's his? What's his face?
Tommy. Oh well, Angel. He started. Angel Marias. Yeah, he's the original owner, original concept, the whole true essence of Stereo, and why that place is still open. Excuse me, but Stereo Montreal for me is like second to none. Like as far as the vibe, the room,
the whole experience.
Yeah, the people. I swear to God, people in Montreal drink a different water. They really are. But we love them for that.
They know how to have fun. They know how to have fun, right?
They truly, absolutely know how to have fun. Absolutely. And it's finally opening up like in a couple of weeks again after like 2 years of basically.
So what made it one of your favorite? Just the overall vibe.
Well, the overall vibe, yeah. I mean,
any particular time that you played it that really stuck out because you was maybe in the zone or something?
Yeah. It was any night that I played at Stereo is always. But yeah, probably one of the first times when I played with Angel at Stereo. That was when he invited me up to play when he first started the club. That was pretty special. And because the sound system that he designed for that place was like second to none, really incredible.
I heard.
I mean, I had heard about Paradise Garage sound systems, and like I said before, I wasn't able to go. But whatever he designed, if that was a comparison, I'm sure it was very close to whatever he did to the garage for sure, because it was breathtaking as far as the quality of the sound.
They have the same sound system there now?
No. Yeah, it's turned over a couple of times. There's been a fire in the club that ruined everything.
Wow.
Then David actually became an owner of the club for about 4 or 5 years, and that was in the 2000s. He became owner for a good 4 or 5 years, and he basically funded and kept that place open. And then after he left and turned it over to the original owners, came back, and that's where it's at right now. The original owners with Angel. Pretty incredible. Yeah. So yeah, Stereo Montreal is probably one of my favorites in the club in my clubbing history.
So what was your first international gig? That came from Def Mix when you were working there, right?
No, before Def Mix actually. My first international gig was definitely in Montreal, but my first overseas
European.
Yeah, was at the Arches in London, the place called the Arches in London, and that was my first. That was '93 because it was before Def Mix, and I got to play in London. I played Switzerland, and and because I was working at Emotive, I was sending out DJ mixes to different promoters, and I remember one of the promoters, a booking agent from England, he wrote back to me on I don't know, it wasn't email. I don't know how. How do you basically? He's like, oh, this mix. He said, I remember this mix is brilliant. I was like, we'd like to have you come over and play. And I was like, okay, let's go. Whatever. It's incredible.
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
But at that time it was Kim Benjamin. I don't even remember who Kim Benjamin.
Yeah.
Kim Benjamin was my first booking agent, and she was the one that basically booked the George Morel. She ran Groove On Records. She basically she signed a lot of the original Mood to Swing stuff that was on Groove On Records. So that was George Morel's label. So she was.
We distributed George Morel for a little bit.
Yep, I spoke to him recently. He's in Miami and Florida.
Is he still living on a boat?
No, not anymore on a boat, but he's in Miami basically. Yeah, doing his thing. Yeah. So Kim Benjamin was basically my first booking agent, and I was doing well with her, but then that was a trying period for me because she was helping me out a lot. But then I started working at Def Mix in '95, and Judy was like, "Well, we're here to represent you. Also, you need to basically almost leave her." And I was like, oh damn, I don't want to leave Kim Benjamin. She was like she was my ace in the hole, basically helping me out with my career early on. But Kim understood, that was my next progression in my music business career. And she was like, all blessings, so yeah.
So you had a very successful DJ career, I know, since the '90s, since you started with the whole like the '90s and 2000s. I remember I was seeing I used to check your playlist, but you were playing a lot harder stuff.
Yes, yeah. Well, Satoshi and I were known as the black sheep of Def Mix. Okay. We were basically like doing something completely different that wasn't musical. It was a little tougher, yes, for sure, because in the 2000s, when we started Saw Recordings, it was a little more progressive.
Yeah, I was looking at your plays like, what is he playing? Because I was like, what is this music you're playing? I know it was harder. I knew that. That's the only thing I knew. Yeah, I'm sure that helped you get more gigs, and
It did, but then I lost a lot of like the essence of house music as well. Right. I lost that. I lost it as far as bookings, but I was always in it and always collecting it because, of course, I'm with Def Mix. So although we started Saw Recordings, I was still part of Def Mix, where I was getting everything that was anything to do with house music before anybody knew it out. Right. So I was always known as just kind of like this DJ that just like, well, just book him. He's gonna do all right. He's gonna do a good gig. I didn't have a style, basically. So it was like, but it hurt me also at the same time.
Right.
I didn't have a style. I was just like, kind of like, I'm a DJ. That's it. I play according to wherever I show up and what's in front of me. I can adapt. I know how to adapt.
Right.
But
that's not always a bad thing, though. But I understand what you're saying. I mean,
wasn't. But
you're making a living out of it. If you're making a living out of it, you should be able to. I mean, if you want to get, and sometimes it opens up other doors too.
It opened up doors and closed some doors.
Right.
It did. I will be honest.
Yeah.
But it was just like that. It was just,
a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of DJs, well, not a lot, but I know DJs that move more into the progressive stuff in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Disciple played.
They wanted.
Disciple had a Disciple. Roger S. They all had to play harder to get those bookings.
Yeah. Exactly. Roger, for sure. Roger was probably one of the ones that really went really hard. I mean, harder than I would even attempt to play. My hard was not hard. My hard was like with this kind of like.
That was hard, dude. I didn't recognize none of the songs that you were playing. That shit was something else. I was like, what the fuck?
It's true. No, for sure. It was completely different. I mean, and I mean, I played all over the world, from Romania to the weirdest countries. I mean, I played everywhere doing this
Ever
sound.
get to play in Estonia?
Estonia is amazing.
Love Estonia, bro.
Estonia is amazing.
Like I don't know how many times, like 7 times.
Estonia.
Now that you're playing back the real house music, soulful and whatever.
Yeah.
How is that feeling? How is that? Do you miss playing the harder stuff or?
I mean, I just try not to categorize anything. I just play music. I don't know. It's still how I play. It's still how I play to this day.
But has it affected your DJing, your gigs? Have you seen less gigs? Well, I think everybody, how the pandemic thing.
Yeah, pandemic.
Before the pre-pandemic, how was the DJ thing going for you?
It was going really well. I was playing a lot. And then the rug got pulled out from under me.
Everybody, man.
Everybody.
Ooh, that took a lot to really realize that. Holy crap!
Yeah,
I basically put everything into just DJing, because that's all I was doing after Def Mix basically dissipated. I was just DJing. I was blessed to buy my house because of DJing.
Wow.
And then, like I said, had the rug pulled out from under you. And I mean, people tell you save for a rainy day. Okay, I saved, but that was more than a rainy day.
Yo, that's a good way to put it, bro.
I was like,
yeah, that was some other shit, man.
Bro.
In our lifetime, we never experienced anything like this.
But let me say you've been fortunate to have a long DJ and it's still going, but there ain't too many of you left. There ain't too many people doing the whole DJ thing full time like you have, I think.
Yeah.
No.
And you're not even a producer on top of that, so you're like a unicorn.
I'm that last generation that got away with being just a DJ. I do say that for sure. I'm one of the last DJs.
You, Crivet.
Yep.
Ted Pat. Well, Ted is producing now.
Doing other stuff too, though.
Yep, Danny. Ted is working hard. He really loves being in the studio.
Doing the edits and all that. So
yeah, Ted loves being in the studio.
He puts them out regularly.
Yeah. Yes.
Got some good edits.
I still buy them almost every week. I buy at least one.
Yeah, no, he's
putting once in a while.
Good stuff, man. Stuff that you least some of those classics I never even heard of. Man.
Right? Really for you to say that, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I know. I don't know everything, but I know, a good amount about classics. But sometimes he puts stuff down. I'm like, yo, this shit is cool.
Yeah,
1975 and shit, 1973, 1972. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
No, it's true what Doug is saying. You're a unicorn, man. And people love you, man. I just want to say that. People
I think that's a good point too. They appreciate you're respected. You've been in this game for a long time, bro.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, man.
Very well loved.
I just try to be me. I'm just a simple guy that loves what I do.
Yeah.
I treat everyone the same, whether you're famous or not.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that I teach my daughter. Just treat everyone equally. We're not religious in our family by no means, but we're very spiritual.
Right.
We believe in a higher power that there is, and if you treat another human the right way,
exactly,
that goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you: do you see a light at the end of the tunnel with this pandemic? Do you see things getting better for you, or do you think it's getting?
The phone's been ringing a little bit more the last couple of months for gigs, like as far as gigs, if that's the question. So yes, I see that there is light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
It's getting better.
It's getting better. Slowly, for sure. I do like that people are being a little more open-minded about good music, whatever style it is. I think streaming in the last year and a half has helped a lot to educate.
I was going to ask you about that, Twitch. I was going to ask you about that. So
although
I
I
see.
never did my own show on Twitch, my own personal show, I was very blessed to have been invited to some of the best shows to be a guest, and I've been able to play from my heart, just play what I love.
You on David Morales, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I have to say.
Yeah, I love, I
right.
love when you play. I love when you play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always play.
Nice.
When you play with your heart. It shows that you're having fun. But
Yeah.
let me ask you, why you do it in black and white though?
It's just this setting that I have on my camera that I just put it in black and white. I don't know. No real reason. Just kind of
nice. It was nice.
I like it. I like it. It's just a little different. Something.
So how come you don't start your own channel?
I know it's overdue. I really.
And you're asking people to follow you, and you're asking people to follow you. So I'm like, why?
I know.
If you're not doing your own.
And
thing?
I have I mean, it's not a lot, but I have a pretty decent following on Twitch just because of just me. But I'm part of also what I was doing pre-pandemic. I was doing my show in Brooklyn,
the network thing.
The network, and that's a show that it was pre-streaming days.
Yeah,
we were doing once a month streaming, and
the function room.
The Function House was the name of the studio. My show was called the Network.
Yeah,
and I did 3 years of this show once a month, of basically having
3 years. Really,
I did it for 3 years.
Wow,
yeah, 3 years. And I kid you not, I swear to God, from the bottom of my heart, I mean this. You guys were both on my list of people that I wanted to be on the show.
Oh, didn't you ask me today, Doug? Didn't you ask me? Didn't you ask me the other day? Did I get to play on his show? I said, no.
I remember.
Yeah.
Is that still around? Are they still around? The Function House still around?
No, because of the pandemic, they had to close the studio. Couldn't afford to play around.
I see somebody in Twitch that goes by Function something. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with.
But that'd be a dope name for if you do your show on Twitch. The network.
It's kind of various reasons why I didn't do it, and that's another story because I got busy with the label that I'm doing right now. But I just got so involved, and I just didn't have time to do my show. And then I was happy with just being a guest on Morales' show. I'm a resident on his show once a month. Spen asked me all the time to play his show. I played on Ochaz Casamena's show, on Carlos's show a lot. And different shows, so I was fine with just playing all the time. I was playing a lot.
That's cool, man.
And so it was cool. I was I on Mr. V's show, Oscar Pochet's show. So it was fun. I was just playing. So I didn't feel like I had to do my own show. But the good thing about streaming was that I got to play from the heart. It was like there was no dance floor I had to worry about. It was just play good music, and I think I built even more of a following just from streaming. It was incredible. I mean, like I get messages like, "Oh man, I loved your show." I love you. I get messages on Twitch. I get messages on my Instagram. People from Russia. People from
time, man. It's time. Like Doug is saying, it's time to do it, bro. It's time to do your own thing.
It's fun, I found when I started on Twitch, I found that it was a little bit hard to do because you're interacting with a chat room, so you're trying to feed off the energy.
Yeah.
But I found that once you get that group together, it's actually a lot of fun. You're playing from the heart. You're playing what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
I love playing. I mean, David's show for sure, which is pretty incredible. I mean, I really give it up to him that he just decided to do this, and now he's getting 500 to 700 people every Sunday just basically listening to his show. It's probably the #1 show on a Sunday on Twitch. Besides Spen's show starts early in the morning, and then people that finish up on Spen's show by 1 o'clock go over to David, and then people stay with him. Like it's incredible, and how people have gotten to know him a little more differently. Like because he's just being real on his show. He'll tell you stories about when he was a stick-up kid. He'll tell you stories about the drugs that he did, the things that. Let
me tell you, Hector, you mentioning that, and I'm one that I have grown like sincere admiration for the brother, man. Like his honesty, And I mean, I was telling Doug the other day, I really love the way he plays. You know, because I've never heard him play live like at these Red Zone. But I've heard him on Twitch. I really love the way. I mean, 1 minute he's playing, you know, it reminds me like kind of like the Lord. Like 1 minute he's playing like some hard shit, then the next minute he's playing some old Michael Jackson or
exactly. He go all over the place.
It depends how he feels. You know, I really enjoy it, man.
Yo, it's so true. It's so true.
As a person, I've grown some sincere, deep admiration for the brother, man. And I'm really proud that one of the best DJs in the world is Puerto Rican. I have to say it.
How about that, right?
Proud of that.
It really is true. It really is.
One of the best DJ, and not only that, producer, Boricua.
It's so true. It's so true. Like when I traveled around the world, people like, what is it about Puerto Rican DJs? There's so many of you. Like, what is it? I was like, I don't know.
We love music, bro.
But it's not just Puerto Ricans for sure. It's Latinos. Absolutely.
Colombiano. He loves the music too.
Well, there's a lot of Colombians. Who's Colombian? Davidson Ospina.
Yeah. Murillo. I think Murillo was Colombian.
I think Josky's Colombian.
Josie's Colombian. Harry Romero's Colombian.
Harry Romero's Colombian.
He's Colombian. At the Rogers.
Tony Humphrey's dad is Colombian.
Tony
Humphrey's father's Colombian.
That's right. Rogers Dominican.
He's Dominican.
Yeah, he's Dominican. But it's a Latin.
It's not a Latino. It's in our blood, man.
It's a Latin thing. It's a beautiful thing, you know.
And it's beautiful that we bring our culture and our Caribbean rhythms into
Isn't that
music, man?
It's beautiful. It really is. It really is. From all those times that I was from all those years. From all those years that I was embarrassed of my mother playing the salsa, my father playing his salsa music in the living room, and me like I'm gonna be in my room listening to my music. But now I love it. Like
bro, when I was younger, my mom used to dress me in guayaberas, and I hated that. I didn't want to look at.
I got a collection of them shits, bro. I love guayaberas.
I don't want to wear guayabera. I don't want to look like a fucking little spit going to school. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, bro,
you wear a guayabera with the hat.
That's my thing, man. That's
you look good in a hat. You look good in a hat. I have a big head. I can't wear.
But yeah, man. As a kid, I didn't want to wear guayaberas. Now that's you. I'm proud.
Panama hat or whatever.
I love that. It's incredible. It really is. Now for sure. We love rhythms. You know, we're Hispanic. We love percussion. It's natural to us. So.
Music don't sound the same without percussion, bro. People don't understand. You could listen to a record that has percussion, you take it out, it doesn't sound the same. Then you have another song and you add the percussion, it just makes it better. Not most of the time, not all the time.
So true. It's so true. It's
a different feel, man, different energy, you know?
It really is. It really is.
So now you're working at Sony.
Yeah,
a sub label of Sony.
Yes.
How did that come about? And then we'll go into
ending it. It's good. So the general manager, it's not even a title, Dusko Justic. He's an old friend of mine from New York. He's from New York, born and raised in Queens.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he's born and raised in Queens. Just someone that always came out to come and hear me play at Filter 14 on the West Side.
Wow, I haven't heard that name. Wow,
Filter 14 Club, and just someone that really liked the way I played and came to a lot of my gigs, and we just became friendly, just became friends. Then he was an intern at Tommy Boy Records. Then he became an intern at Sony Records in New York. He moved up in the ranks quickly, like really fast. He basically, like overnight, basically got moved to London 7 years ago. I think it's about 7 years ago, and became vice president of marketing for Sony Music Iberia. So Sony Music Iberia, meaning he's the vice president for all the Latin repertoire on Sony. So he takes care of Maluma, Ozuna, Enrique Iglesias, Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony.
The big
you name it, he's in charge of the marketing for all those top acts. And about 2 years ago, he got the blessing from his boss, Afo Velde, which is, you need to look up this name, Afo, A-F-O Velde. He's the CEO, basically, of Sony Music, of the Latin division of Sony. And he signs everybody. Christina Aguilera, he signed everybody. I mean, huge. So he got the blessing from Alpha Velde to start a subsidiary sub-label for Sony that caters towards Latin electronic music. And 2 years ago, Dusko called me. It's a true story. He called me to say, I got this, we have always been talking for years that he wanted to start a label to push Latin electronic music. He said, but I got the blessing from Afo, and he calls me. He says, I need your advice. I need you to tell me, who do you feel would be a good A&R person to run the label of Latin electronic music? So he called me just to ask my advice, not to give me the job or offer me the job. And I'm on the phone like, really? I'm like, this sounds like a job for me, Dusko. You're talking to the guy.
I'm like, yo, me.
You're talking to the guy.
You got the history. You got the experience. Yeah.
But although he knew that, he didn't think I was looking for work because he knew I was DJing a lot. He knew I was part of Def Mix. He didn't think I was looking for anything alternative to Def Mix or my career as where I was at already. And when I told him, I said, damn, D, I like the sound of this. I was like, and in my mind already 2 years ago, I already knew that Def Mix was going downhill, basically. And I was like, I like this. I like where we have always talked about starting a label. I was like, keep me in mind. I would love to do this if given the opportunity. He was, really? He's like, really? Are you sure? I was like, no doubt in my mind. I want this. So fast forward, 4 months go by. Seriously, 4 months. I forgot about it. I didn't think about it. The only one I told was my wife, and I didn't tell anybody, nobody, not even Morales, not even Judy, nobody, because I just didn't know if it was going to happen. So why even plant the seed? And he called me back 4 months later, and he says, I got the okay to start this label, and are you still interested? Yep, I'm interested. I want it. It's like, yeah, just like that. I was like, let's do it. Whatever is paying, whatever. And this is just about pandemic time, and gigs were dissipating, and it came at the right time. I said, I swear, my father, God bless his soul, was looking out for me. He got me this job.
That's great.
I was just like, wow, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to pay my mortgage. I didn't know. I mean, we saved. My wife and I saved up enough to pay my daughter's 4-year college and a little extra, and that was it. We were going to be broke after that. I swear to God. And then this offer came in. And long story short, this is where I'm at, starting this grassroots alternative sounding label that's just doing something a little different than your average. Mm-hmm. We're not doing commercial Latin music. We're not doing reggaeton. We're trying to do something a little completely off balance, off scale, that still has grassroots Latin electronic feel. Mm-hmm. And although we still have to keep it a little commercial, I'm going to say, I hate using the word commercial, but because we still have to show numbers when it comes to Sony, we're doing some really cool things that I'm proud of, for sure. That, some things hit, some things don't, but at the end, we feel really good about the quality of the music that we're releasing in the last year and a half. Just to say again, the name of the label is called Oriana, and it's just been a blessing to be part of this and learn a whole other level of the music industry. Yeah. It's incredible. Dusko, I love him to death. He's amazing. He's got a great ear. He's more of a statistics data kind of guy. Everything's numbers to see what what, let's say, what artist is doing, what their numbers are, and very data driven. I'm more feeling like, so I like this. Like we need to sign this, and we come to an agreement sometimes, and sometimes we don't. And so this label's been really like an amazing thing to push Latin electronic music. I mean, I'm talking to artists from South America a lot more. My Spanish has improved. Yeah, I mean, early on in 2020, which I think was probably just a bad time. Doug gave me the blessing to put out his record. We put out one of his records, and I think and this is the truth. It's probably one of our worst performing records on the label.
Yeah,
But
you have to tell that. You'd have to.
But we're gonna be honest. But it's not that you did a bad record. It was just,
I heard it. It's a dope record.
It's an amazing record, not a dope record. It's an amazing record.
Yeah.
And it just, sometimes when things are not put out at the right time.
There's no formula.
Yeah, that happened. That did happen last year, right? During the pandemic, right? That did happen.
2020. Early 2020.
No formula to this, man. There's no formula. You just don't know.
You just don't know.
Put it out.
You just don't know. But Dusko, he loved the record, so it wasn't like I made that decision by myself. He knew the record was amazing. We wanted the record. We wanted it. And whatever, it didn't hit, but it was the wrong time. That's all it came out. It came down to just basically
the first release, right, on the label.
Probably our fourth or third.
I think it was the third or something.
Third. I mean, now we've got records that are streaming, thousands and thousands of records, streams. They're doing well. We're not trying to be the cool DJ label of the month. We're mostly a streaming label that's basically trying to cater to the world, basically everybody.
That's cool, man.
DJs and your parents, whatever, anybody, your cousins,
general public.
General public, yeah.
You push the Latin vibe,
Yeah, exactly. So every record that we release has some kind of Latin elements, some kind of vibe that's Latin to it. Whether it's a little more commercial or very alternative sounding, everything's very Latin based. Yeah. So we're having fun doing a label. It's my passion now. It's what I love to do. For me, again, producing and remixing has not been my calling, but I found my love years ago, even through DefMix, that the label part, administration, I love it to death. I love talking to my distributors. I love talking to my lawyers. I love talking to promotions people. The artists, A&R, developing the artists, yeah, for sure. I really love it. And we've learned a lot in the last year on Oriana.
And your Spanish has gotten better. So next,
has gotten better.
Put on that guayabera next.
Without the hat. I can't wear a hat. They don't make them big enough for me. So this is where I've wound up, man, after this journey of talking with you guys for a beautiful conversation about.
So just one last thing. What does the future? Anything coming up for you? Anything new? Anything?
The future, I hope, I will, I want, is to keep contributing as an A&R person in this music on a bigger scale. Yeah. I miss though the independent label mentality where you could just do things quick on the whim. Artwork, whatever, put out a record like quick, you produce it today, put it out next week. I can't do that with a major label. It just doesn't happen. There's legal,
the whole plan that goes, right?
There's, but at the same time, I respect the label mentality, the major label mentality, because the lawyers look out for the best interest of the label to make sure nothing comes back and bites us in the ass. Even from putting artwork on the cover, I can't just put anything on a cover. It has to be signed off by whose face is on there, who is that person,
copyright,
everything. Likeness is a whole other level. It really is, but I enjoy it. I really do. But yeah, so that what my future. I hope, ideally, sincerely hope that I get to contribute a lot more to this music through the major label. One of my favorite things that I remember early days of Atlantic Records. Remember when Merck would put out records on Atlantic Records when my goodness, Jerome Sidenheim was the A&R of Atlantic Records. It would put out obscure, like crazy, like stuff that wasn't normal
the compilation, those compilations they were putting out too. The
it was
underground.
incredible. All the stuff that Jerome Sidenheim was signing on Atlantic Records back in the day. I mean, the Kerry Chandler, Get It Off. All that stuff was on Atlantic Records. That's not your normal stuff that comes out on a major label.
You're taking a big chance.
The 10 City stuff, all that stuff. So that's what I want to contribute to what I want to do with Oriana. Basically, just expose our music to the world for sure. You know, I mean, I want another record from Doug. I've been chasing you, Antonio, for a little while. We will get there eventually. I know that. You know, I know we will. You know, you can't force this kind of stuff. You know, but Doug, I'm so proud of how you're doing and doing the output that you're doing right now. It's incredible. I mean, you kind of remind me of the output that David was doing back in the 90s. Really, it's incredible. Really, no, seriously. So,
thank you so much.
You know, you're really at the top of your game right now. Really,
I'm trying.
Very consistent. Nah, you're doing it, brother.
You are doing it. I'm gonna tell you from an outsider, not shooting any bullshit up, just straight up. It really is. I mean, even David's playing your shit like a lot.
I was gonna say, just tell David to play more of my shit.
He is lately.
You still service him, right?
I give him everything that I get goes right to him. Everything I get every week, I give him a folder of music. Although he's gotten better at getting his own music, but I share everything that I get. It's always been like that for 25 years. People always send me stuff to give to him. so I was lucky at the same time. Like, oh, we'll give you this, but I knew it was from that they wanted me to give it to David, but I got lucky by getting a lot of stuff up front as well. But David trusts me that the folder that I give him every week, basically, he knows there's going to be some stuff in there. Yeah. Sometimes he says, "Oh, this shit is whack, bro. What are you giving me?" But that's my taste, of course.
Do we have anything in the chat, Antonio? Because I can't see anything.
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll talk to you about that.
So we'll put this up for everybody to see afterwards.
Yeah.
And Antonio, your beautiful music is always so emotional, so spiritual.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that. It's like I love the way you produce music, man. It's straight. You can tell that it's just you're not trying to cookie cut anything. Yeah. You're not trying to follow a trend. You're you're sincere, and I've been a fan for many years now. And you know,
thank you. I appreciate that.
I love one of my favorite. You gave me a copy of your what was it, the Culebra album?
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful album, man, and I'm happy that I have that on CD.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some more stuff for you soon.
Good, man. Good. And the last couple, forgive me, because I'm bad with titles, but they've just been so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Song of My Soul.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
That was my interpretation of if I was to be able to work with Santana and Pat Metheny, it would sound something like that.
that does nail that.
Think about it. Think about it.
It's so true.
And think about
very true. Yep. Very true. Very true.
And you never know.
You never know. Exactly. Yeah. You never know. Absolutely, man. The sky's the limit for sure.
Yeah. All right, Hector. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hector.
It was definitely.
Thank you guys, man. What a pleasure. What a journey.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to us, man. It's our pleasure. Seriously.
Made me dig deep in my mind.
Yeah. This is fun. This is fun, man.
All that history, and remember, bro, you're very well loved, man, in this community, and I mean that.
Yep.
And we appreciate you. We really appreciate
you. Likewise. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bro.
Together, we're doing things. We're doing things together.
That's right. After so many years.
You can't do it on your own, man. You can't do it on your own.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you so much, Hector.
I'm here for you guys always. All right.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Hector.
Thank you, guys. All the best, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Good night. Good night. Ciao.
Take care.
Ciao.
Cool.
That was good.
Yeah, that was great.
So what happened with the chat? No, what?